Hey guys, Ben here from Second Dynasty. Hopefully you can hear me well and see me well. Let me know in the chat. Let's see, I need a few resources over here. Sorry I'm a bit sweaty. I was just in the what I'm calling the studio, but actually I mean the break room next door. So yeah, let's see if okay, good. You can hear me. Let's see, I'll say hello to the chat. So, Trick or Treat, says Will Richards. Hi to That Blasted Sammerflange, Clive, Solo Spirit is here, Shergel is here, Doug is here, Brian is here, Tamsin is here, Kathy is here. Hey, you made it. Awesome. And I'm sure we'll have a few more people. Shadow Lager is here as well, nice. And yeah, finally a stream. Let's see. I'm noticing some issues with my graphics cards. I hope it's not too much of an issue at the moment. So let's see. OBS is showing a picture. I'm getting a playback error on YouTube Studio, but I'm just going to refresh and see that that's fixed. Obviously, you can see something. So there we go. Hey, Dalton is here as well, and Grana Prejo. Or Prego. Good afternoon / morning / evening, depending on where you might be in the world. And happy Halloween, I guess. Whew, it's been a busy week. It's not quite over. There's a few more fires to put out, a few more problems to solve. And I need a second copy of mine, so I'll get that going while I'm talking. I've been trying to do a few different things at once. The biggest thing, I guess, is my workflow has been slightly interrupted by the need to get the Comanche Dropship finished up. The printing is going fairly well. Now, this is a very messy table. You can kind of see it there compared to the APC for scale. So it is a big release. And let's see if I can get it in shot. Sorry about the grain. I love color printing. So this is what I got printed so far. The wings should be done by the time the stream is over. Or at least some of them. I think the tail engines are off. You got the cockpit there done in color 2. And I've got the canopy printing in 2 different colors. I don't think it'll be fully transparent because it's 2 layers thick. But I think it might be fairly decent. I'll see. The goal is to get this finished today so it's ready for release tomorrow. And it is pretty much done. It's more a case of I need to organize the files. So if I go back to my scenes here, I'm going to open my dropship. I've just got to make sure in this other project it's actually set up right. It's not. Okay, because I did change the name this week to GridForge Exoplanet Colony, because the exoplanet wasn't really saying what I wanted it to say in the title. It's a more boring title. It's not as poppy, but it's a little bit more descriptive, which is what I went with. Hey, Overboard. Hey, Anders. Hey, Derivative Content. So yeah, lots going on with this scene. The biggest thing has been getting all of this printed. And I have made a video of... let's see, I think this is why I wanted a folder over here. I just need to find it. I just filmed in the other room so you guys can see what I'm talking about. And hopefully that will load in a moment. Might have to sync. But yeah, I need to make sure my project names are correct because at the moment this is a 5 GB file, and when it has 10 autosaves on a hard disk where I have very little room left, we're kind of bootstrapping these next couple of months. I guess that's what happens when you're the chief talent and you're sick for a while. So such is the way of things. Let's see. I want to double check that my system sound is coming through. I think it's on, but it's not set to go at the moment. So let's see. I'm going to double check which source it is. Yes, it's my speakers. Hopefully there's not a feedback situation. There might be, let me just, I'll double check by turning off the sound to avoid the Albin sort of situation. So let's switch over to, where did it go? The video. Oh, right, yeah, I guess it's syncing. So I'll talk for a little bit more because it's like 400 meg that's got to download and for some reason. Okay. Here we go. This is getting huge. Alright guys, I just wanted to show off the state of things. I still got a lot of work to do. But you can see the lighting is all fixed for these sections. Just want to add a little bit more base lighting to the labs. And you can kind of see that I got my vaporizers going there. There are going to be some fans sticking in front of those. Built into cliffs. There's going to be a corridor connecting that. And the new section is installed. You can see maybe there needs to be some reorganizing of furniture. But otherwise, we've got a boardroom. We've got a... don't know if the text is coming out there, but... Cocytus is right there. And then you've got the executive suite and the talking room, which came out very well, I thought. And then I actually did the doors in this wood PLA texture. So I just need to get the cliffs finished. And a part of that is these raising stands. I'll explain that more, I'm sure. But yeah, gonna be a long weekend, but worth it. Okay, so hopefully you got the sound on that. Let's see. My voice is audible, but not me. Okay. So, what you might have noticed there, and I think I might have mentioned it, is that I needed to have a system to lift up several sections by about 1 centimeter. Now, I had thought very conveniently that I could use my level up gaming table to easily move the scene from one room to the next. And the initial Cocytus station, which now it's kind of incredible to think about, was just this 2 by 3 foot area here. And that's how big my level up table was. I didn't buy any expansions. I figured for most gaming, I bought it for role playing. And I didn't think that I would need, that much more space. But because I've had to move things in between rooms, I've kind of rethought the furniture in my office. It's a bit of a mess. I'd rather have some workshop tables to be able to build it out in the office. And we'll move my, my couch into the other room. So, yeah, that's kind of where I am at the moment with that. And Kathy dropped one sort of outbound on the floor trying to move it. Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about there, but I've been kind of clever with it. Like, we've been sliding it onto smaller tables and such. But the real issue is the... it's too big to make argument. Well, I mean, to be fair, it is 2 campaigns stuck together, so we'll see how it performs. I have no idea. I know that a lot of people are in a precarious... have precarious budgets at the moment, considering... but I do feel like, you know, this is going to look so cool. And my big pitch is going to be this. I'm sure that many of you, like me, have either got mountains of STL files which you have not printed out because you're thinking, oh man, I'm never going to have time to paint this. Or you've printed out a bunch of terrain with a generic grey colour and thought, oh, I'm never going to have time to paint this. So the big sell is going to be multi-material steps into that. And even if you don't have a multi-material capable printer, well, actually, all printers are multi-material capable, but in this case, we've designed a lot of parts to work with just 2 colours. sometimes being a shift. And you can actually accomplish an incredible amount just by using different types of PLA. So we've used a combination of mats, silks, basics, and even a bit of wood and metal to achieve a variety of different effects. And you can see with a little bit of lighting too, it can look absolutely amazing. So that's going to kind of be a part of the pitch along with GridForge itself, but we'll see what I can get stuck in to this weekend, because really the big block now, I think I'm going to do the tribes release so that the dropship is out, and then the other tile releases will come a few days later. And, you know, I'll show that off in a second. But what I'm trying to circle back towards is I had the problem where this central section had a 1 centimeter thick board, 10 mil, and I then had this section and all of this section, which was off the board. So I've had to do a variety of tests with razors. So I knew from the beginning that this section here, I was not going to do the lower level at the moment. I was going to leave that room for expansions. Like originally I had designed like a staircase down here, and the idea being that the CEO's quarters could be underneath, although it might make more sense to make it higher up. And I was planning to do a third set for an operations center, but I think that will just have to go into stretch goal territory, or I don't know, an add-on or something like that. But at the moment, it's not sort of conceived of in great detail. Like I have it all up here, but I wanted to make this perfect so we can actually pitch what we have. And also, you know, maybe it's the sensible move too, because I put a lot of time and effort into this, and if it doesn't pay off, I am not going to be stuck for months and months designing, right? For something that didn't bring in enough to keep the lights on. So, yeah, I ended up going with a combination of, you know, I think Albin made these for that communications array. And I had to do some custom versions. And you can kind of see here I've experimented with bases. This one's actually for that communications pit. Sorry, the sort of talking room. Because if we isolate it, you can see this actually drops down to a lower level. So it looks really good, but then I kind of like had this half level supports underneath just to give that a bit of structure. And I haven't put in any lighting yet, so I really don't know how this is going to respond just yet. And then I've also put in these other risers. And I did do a couple of iterations of this. I'm not sure if I have any left in here. It might be on one of my the tons and tons of parts of variants for everything, so there are literally hundreds of new parts coming compared to the previous release. Yeah, I had these very simple risers here, which are just 1 inch risers with 1 centimeter risers. They didn't work too well. I think a part of the issue was that I had like the connectors on each and every piece. When I revised it all down, I wanted something that could print as fast as possible, and also because I'm running out of time, and also you know, work really effectively. And this is what I came up with. So it's just, it doesn't correctly fit GridForge because it's not meant to. This is a case issue where I don't think you guys are going to need this at all. It's just I needed this. And so I just made this very simple. This is just 1.6 mil wide. You can connect it all, and just having the corners in, they actually slotted in very nicely. And I'm very happy with that. It worked a lot better than the ones, because I used those other ones that I showed you for, underneath the power plant and the garage, and I wasn't very happy with the way that it all worked out. So I might swap it out, I'll see. But yeah, anyway, before we get on to looking at the dropship, I just thought I might check out the chat, and I will scroll up a little bit. Geez, you guys have been active today. I love to see that. Let's see. Aside from the good mornings and the horsing around, let's see. Aside from Kathy escaping doing a mum's tax return, um, most of it is like just saying hello and that. And exposed cables. This is another issue. Exposed cables, the code inspector will be triggered. This is something that I need to get down and done, and I have a very simple solution in my head. We might even model it today because it's quite quick, I feel. And I can also conceivably prototype it before I have to go home in like an hour and a half. So, yeah. Has any thought been given to fixing covers from foam core board to act as a fog of war? You certainly could. I am listening to people's requests for like ceilings and roofs. I'll give it some consideration. Technically, this should be able to stack. The challenge I've come to is kind of like how to make things line up in such a way that you don't have an awkward gap. So, for example, my table is a bit more clipped together purposefully so it can look great for the filming and whatnot. Let's see. You dropped... I read that one before. I think Kakaido should now silence you with "it's too big to make" argument. I'm guessing that's a reference to the larger ships. For me, it's not a question of the size. I know Philip has made a ship bigger than anyone I've ever made, or is in the process of doing that. What is it? The MTV. But I want to see that there's enough people interested in it, to be honest, and that's the main thing at this point in time. It's kind of been nice in a sense, going back to just having me in the office most of the time. Like, John's back in the US, furiously printing the Fifth Frontier War stuff. I have to say, props to John. The critique he's gotten back is pretty much only praise, in that they can't really believe that it's FDM. There's, some parts that they think is, resin quality. This has happened before, but getting packets of 50-odd plus, I think there's 60 figures or something in the box, getting that out to people without a single breakage is absolutely amazing. So props to John. He's doing a good job, and he is supporting me a little bit with this campaign as well, mostly with exterior terrain. So I think we'll probably do Shadow Lager's suggestion for sort of caves. We're definitely doing half-inch tiles as well. So we'll see. I think there's a variety of things to do with that, but both John and I have been incredibly busy, so I think it might be stretch goal stuff for some of it. He's also planning to get out the sort of like vehicle ramps and tire ruts, that sort of thing for the ground tiles. The stuff that we originally had planned for the Kakaida's mine site. All right, let's continue with these questions or statements. Shogel said, I knocked over all my risers sliding it to the end of the dining room table. Yeah. See, I put down a black piece of material. So it's just like I went to a craft store and bought a huge roll of just black matte material. And that is actually a good thing to slide across the table with, because you can just drag the whole thing or push it, and there's just a little bit of, you can get away with a fair bit of friction there. You're going to be doing something similar, less AMS use and more push shift paths for the dungeon. Yeah, that's also a great way to do things, and it's also one of the ways we've done some of our parts. The minimized number of color swaps efforts have been very clear. Awesome. Yeah, so I've brought this up before, John's brought this up before, but what you might not know about color 3MF, not 3MF, FDM printing, because I was new at it too when we ran Expendable on Frontiers. I've learned a lot since then with my design process, and it's almost shameful to have the older tiles from Kakaida's station in place, because I'd do it a different way if I was doing it again. But yeah, it just ended up being one of those things where when you switch a layer, unless you've got one of those fancy new printers that have multiple heads, so that there's no, you know, switching in the nozzle. That requires sort of like purging a bunch of filament out as well. It's quite wasteful. Tons of changes not only take a long time because, you know, each purge could take, you know, a minute. And you got to think, like, if you're changing several colors each and every layer, that all adds up. So all of a sudden, for example, a lot of the prints for the dropship have taken, you know, 24 hours or that sort of thing, just because there's so much color switching. And there I've used, you know, 4-color AMS where possible. So it's not really optimized in that sense, because the idea is going for a vehicle, you want it to basically be paint free. So yeah, we can look at some 3D maths and that sort of thing. But if you have just 2 colors, you can kind of get away with this trick. One, when you're on color A, you would put down layer 1. Then it would continue to layer 2 with the part that's on that color. Then it would switch over to the other color, complete layer 2, then go into layer 3, and like it does 2 layers at a time, so you can kind of get it hopping up quicker, and it actually is twice as fast, provided that you just keep the color switches to 2. So that's one way to really optimize things. Let's see. Could GridForge support an underlayer that accepts steel/aluminium bars for making ships more rigid? I don't see why not. It's mostly a case of, like, you would literally need a different layer. For example, Persephone on hiatus, but it is built around the GridForge system, and it does kind of have, like, in-between decks where all the ducting is. But that's also where I get the metal rods to keep it all stable. Let's see. Kathy says, Mandalorian homes have a pit in the middle called the Carrier or whatever. I keep scrolling too much. Lots of chat in here, guys. I love it. Yes, they sit sleep there and have tables that come up as defensive barriers. Interesting. Blasted Camouflage says, in Bane voice, you are merely concerned with keeping the lights on. I was trained in darkness. I didn't keep the lights on till fully graduated. To me, lights are nothing but blinding. Okay. Sorry about that. The underlayer would have to support the GridForge. Yes and no. I mean, it could potentially use something like that support system, and if we actually built those so that, you know, they were 1/2 inch in height, I think that would be a good argument for sort of like supporting it. But obviously you're going to have to go up higher. Will says we could use some air handling that can be used to hide the rods and support the GridForge. Nosy the Rabbit Killer, welcome. The Killer Rabbit, sorry, not Rabbit Killer. So my costume is on my posts. Okay. Shadow Liger says, definitely going to be tinkering with that. I'm getting my Brick Bling this week. Oh yes, Brick Bling. I've talked to them, and they're going to get me a discount code and also post about the campaign. I really should have gotten back to them today, but hopefully it can still be done by Monday, the time Monday rolls around. So there's no particular kits that I've used. I'm just mixing and matching, but you can get a bunch of different parts. They do have one where it's like, just here's a bunch of our stuff, buy it and play with it. And I kind of recommend that as a starter. It's about 500 crowns without a discount code. That's what, I don't know, $50, $55 US. Doug says the MTV-M is released and huge. The MTV-L is still in progress. Twice the height, jeez. Oof. That's a lot of printing. Dalton says, an item that is meant to clip onto the top of the walls that gives a little lip to hold the foam core is used just to hold it in place during gameplay would be very handy. Yeah, you could also use like pegs, but in general, like, I get what you're saying with the foam. I kind of would prefer to design stuff that people could 3D print rather than requiring third-party stuff. I know lighting is an exception to that, but I can't really do that with 3D printing. Although, fun fact, we did kind of look into conductive filaments at one stage. Getting ramps would be amazing. Yes, they are coming. Doug Jeffrey says, a lot of the walls have supporting inserts on the top, so clipping something in should be trivial. Agreed. It just is a case of making up something that will fit. So, maybe some kind of hook that can actually clip into that clip on the top. It could be quite thin. Yeah, possibly. Cardstock could work as well, yeah. Blasted says, I really wish there was a way for all us creators to be making GridForge could do one co-op project. I know some want to work alone, but to show how everything in GridForge is compatible would be neat. You know, it sounds nice and interesting. For my part, my business costs too much that I really can't afford to give up that much of the profits. It's as simple as that. Also, a Kickstarter has to be run on someone's account. It can't be run on multiple people's account, as far as I know. That blasted Samaflange says it would be, if not a creative nightmare, a logistic one. Yeah. John woke up early, saw I had plenty of time and went back to sleep. I hope you heard me singing your praises, John. Okay. Right. Conductive filaments charge extra. I've considered trying to make some MDF laser cutout GridForge bases. Would that work? Because you don't have the clip holes that way, do you? Or you mean that it sits in? John is saying, I'm always listening to you, sir. Well, in any case, I missed your voice. We're up to date on the chat, so I'm going to move things over to... Oh, that's right. Maya is doing this weird bug where the first time it loads up, it's just doing this stuff. Let me turn off my viewport GUI, or the HUD rather. I'll turn off my lights. And then the grid as well. So let's get rid of all of this stuff so we can really view what's going on. So here is the final version of the Comanche Dropship. It goes brrr, just like an A10. It was a last minute addition because I didn't really know what to do with the front. The nose isn't, optimal probably for aerodynamics. I'm planning on having some variants. And a part of that is like, I want to make, this customizable for people on the higher tier on tribes. So the main thing I'm looking at customizing is armaments, and I think, oh, that's interesting. Why didn't that show off? So, like, for example, I'm working on this rounded type nose, and also adding, rather than these vents, these missile launchers on the side. There's actually some empty, you could actually load up twice as many rocket pods, and I realized a little too late. Let me just hide this again. We've got a little turret on the back, and yeah, once the print is done in, let's see, Comanche, looks like it's finishing at about 4:20, so not during the stream, unfortunately, but we'll have a bunch of different wings and things ready at that point in time. I would show off the video, but I don't want to kill John from seeing how messy the print room is at the moment. But yeah, detailing has been completed, and John and I actually worked on this together. I concepted it out and blocked it and said, okay, now you cut it up and make it printable, and then hand it off to me and I'll detail it. And this was actually a great way to work together, I felt. I did change one or two small things. I realized I haven't connected the door yet, and a not super critical, actually it might be just better to move the door out of the way. So you can kind of see the seating back there. At the moment I'm just going to put seating in. I was planning on having like a station for like an officer. I just don't have the time to do it. Ignore the staircase there. It's a very narrow section here. I do have a plan to put like a back plate here, which just has like a door built into it, and then like a divider. So the idea being that from the cockpit you would get through a very narrow passage. So yeah, it's more or less. I can show you guys how the lid comes off with the physical camera. Let's see. So it just pops off like so. So you'll have, I haven't put the GridForge template in yet, but you can kind of see this is where you'll be able to see down into the crew section. You can see I don't have the nose on, so I thought this was on autofocus, but maybe it's not. It's not normally in this position. So let me see if I can just change that real quick. Properties, and then I want to go into configure video, and then camera control focus is not on auto for some reason. Let's apply that. And yeah, it should, I think it's showing up better already, isn't it? Come on, focus. Oh well, you can see it better than it was before. So again, nothing is painted, and we can look at some of the 3MFs. I haven't really sewn them together yet, but let's see. So if I go to my build plates, this is a total mess because I've just been recycling some of the build plates. But you can see here, I keep wanting to use Maya tools and controls to zoom in. You can see here that I've just used some text. It might be font dependent, I kind of feel. So it might look slightly different, but you'll be able to alter it. But technically, you could come in and change this text to like 102 or whatever, and it'll be in that position already, ready to go. And this sort of like the danger symbols for the intakes, it's just an L in a certain font. So it may look a bit weird to some people, but you can just change the font here. And I don't know if this is going to work in other slicers other than Orca Slicer, but hey, it's kind of cool in that sense. So we just change it back. You can kind of see I was printing different parts on different days. This was single color. So I will do a bunch of build plates. There'll be separate build plates depending on the colors. And sometimes you can sort of like just get by cheating a little bit. So for example, this yellow here was actually a silver without build plates. So probably going to be a few more build plates involved in that. And I actually used, because all of these, I'm not exporting to STL anymore. So what I'll be doing is exporting the STLs from the 3MFs. And I guess I'll be doing that tonight because it's got a release tomorrow. I did do some renders, so we've got some basic stuff we can stick up. But yeah, and like I said, I really don't have anything ready to go for the GridForge. Not sure if John, if we have anything that we've been waiting on. Alright, so I do love the way it came out though, I have to say. So I think it really does capture the sort of spirit of the Cheyenne. I bought a bunch of books recently. One of them was Ron Cobb, and the other one was because he did the initial designs for this. So it's kind of like a little nod to that, but obviously a lot smaller. So imagine there's no APC, it's just all combined in this one thing. I have designed it in such a way it won't have as good a flow, but technically you'll be able to cut it here and possibly extend that. So I don't think it'll look great with anything more than a 1 or 2 inch extension, but it should be possible in the future. So everything's sort of designed to go just a little bit further back. So in theory, this would just be extended forward. You can kind of see there that there's a natural line. Yeah, but it wouldn't look as good. I think it came out pretty well. Let me know if you dig it or not in the chat. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. Let's see. Is known for negative thrust vectors. Yeah, I've heard that too. Or you could say them's the brakes. I wonder has an A10 so much that it had to, it almost stalled. Sci-fi technology means not having to care too much about aerodynamics. Agreed. And, you know, this is a dropship. The one thing I realized I didn't put in is RCS. So it does annoy me a little bit. I didn't either put in a VTOL capability. So technically, I imagine it's there, or there's like panels that open up or something like that. I don't know. But like, yeah. Too much thought. Maybe there'll be a different version in the future. Blasted says, John Games, maybe you can answer this. Is there a GridForge compatible grid/icon that can be used for creators? I know that because I made it. So yes, there is. We can certainly share that with you. Because there's a version with our logo in it, and then there's a version which is just like a GF. This is how Eridani gets designs, you know. Thindor makes it harder for the xenomorph to get in. I don't know about that. That would be a good green for sewer water. I guess so. The one on screen, yeah, but the one in real life is a little bit more military olive green. Let's see, there's a hint of another press fit floor. There was. Kathy just says Doug. Doug says again, nice ship. I feel like we're repeating things. A10s only have 2 seconds, but they have stalled them on tank runs. Yeah, that's yeah, I can imagine. Anti-grave repulsors. It's a dropship. Anything is airdroppable once. Agreed. I have not dropped it myself yet, thankfully. Eridani is already planning on a beautiful clone of the ship. For sale now, only for $0 and 14 cents and 14.8 cents, I guess. Anyway, rambling enough. That is the I was going to say Cheyenne, but the Comanche. I think there has been a Comanche helicopter or gunship or something, but yeah. I just thought it was a nod to the Cheyenne by choosing another Native American tribe and or peoples nation, and it still had to have a flow to it, so kind of made sense. Anyway, yeah, that's where it is. Let's get back to the other issue at hand. So I mentioned earlier in the stream, some people might have missed it. I do need to make some cliff faces for this underside here, rearrange a few bits and bobs, print out a bunch more 2x4s. But yeah, the there is this slight issue of all of those cables that you saw, and I also wanted to make a double light. So I do have my. I have to look closer to the stream because I'm getting old. To the screen, I mean. Let's see. We've got our lighting kits here somewhere. Lighting mounts. Oh, they're already here. So they're over here somewhere. So I will eventually go back and set up. Man, these kind of look cool. And actually, that's something I could show off. I don't have any antennas in it, but if I switch to the other camera, it's always worrying when there's like a Discord pling. And yes, thank you to, I think Solo Spirit was the one that pointed out that I said September is almost over in the October newsletter. And it really does reflect my mental state at this point in time. It feels like it should be September. But no, it's Halloween. And it's falling on a Friday, which is great, because I think I've complained about this before, but Swedish kids, they've started dressing up and doing trick-or-treats, but they haven't figured out which night you're supposed to do it on. Like, hardly anyone came on the 31st. We also have a traditional day off for November 1st for All Saints Day. So some of them come on that night, which other people think is disrespectful. But tonight it's a Friday night, so I think they will come tonight since it's the weekend and the proper American Halloween, I guess. So I've got a bowl full of candy / lollies ready to go. And we might get 3 or 4 kids that actually knock on the door, so we'll see. All right. What was I going to show you guys? Oh yeah, the physical print. That's why I was switching to OBS. So let's get to the camera here, and hopefully I can show off this. So this is one of my little covers. So this is actually designed to slot over. I don't know that we have one here yet. Okay. So we've got this base mount here, which can connect with open lock clips. Sorry, GridForge clips into the walls. So remember how we had that sort of layer of clip holes in between levels? This is designed to cover up some of that. And I'll need your help, I think, the community's help, to design what kind of structure we could stick into that. I have kind of the idea of sticking a... what do I want to say? Gantry. Like a mezzanine type structure, like a walkway, a gangway sort of thing that you could patrol off of, or, you know, access things with. It doesn't have to run the whole way around, but practically this will work by just, I think that's upside down. It just slides on over the top there and hides the circuit board. And then I realized after I plugged this in that it would actually been made a lot more sense if it was on its side. So I think in Maya, at least, you can see there's a side variant here. The only downside is it doesn't look that cool. Oh, look. This little logo's slipped out of the way, so can we get that back in place? See, does that snap? Yes, no? Let's move it manually. Alrighty. Sorry about that. Gets distracting. Let's focus on that and get that corner aligned to this one. There we go. So, yeah. So this way it's like the power cord would plug into here and then feed out to here. And then we also have these other sliding little boxes where you would put, again, let me switch to the movable camera. So the lighting sort of plugs into these little connectors. Hey, that actually focused for once. What do you know? And so this is a way to hide those. All right, so let's see what we've got going on in the chat. Who makes the dropship in the universe? I'm not sure yet. Boeing Sikorsky from the look. But yeah, so I've got a bunch of little lighting tricks and tools. There's these little things here that kind of are designed to slot the lights into. Feels like I'm missing a design here, and I wonder if that was the results of one of my crashes. I kind of feel like it might have been. Because I did design... Oh no, here it is. For some reason I've put it in place here, but I have this corner light. So I want to modify that a little bit so that the cable works in a different way. Because depending on which way the lighting is pointing and which way you want to print it, like this makes more sense to print flat because it is, you know, got this little thing. And I found that filaments, even if you don't have semi-transparent, if it's so thin that it can only do one layer, it actually is transparent anyway. So you can kind of get some lighting effects just out of that. Let's see. Blasted says, I can't wait to see you finally do some fiber optic cockpit panels with all the lights. Size it to fit different microcontrollers as well. Arduino Mini, Pi Zero, etc. Brick Bling is great. I agree with John. And it's going to be great to have a slight partnership with them, maybe get a little bit of promotion. One of those things I really need to write up and send their way. Oh, and the other thing too is John has created a new test print. So we've essentially... hey, that's wrong. One of these has got to move over to there. Where's it going? It's not the proper version. I think it's the wrong spot anyway. So, no. Anyway, I don't need this distraction right now. But yes, this boardroom is going to be available. I guess I should really upload it. We're going to host it on our local server, and it'll just be a link on the actual campaign page. But I'll even put it up on the reserve page. Because I wanted to show off something that really highlights multi-material and how we're working with color. And this is a good way to do that without it, taking too much time and energy and giving too much away. So the executive boardroom here, I don't think it's the exact same configuration. I haven't honestly looked at the instructions yet, John, I'm sorry. But there's a zip file ready to go, and you'll be able to test print that along with the chairs. At least I think the chairs are there. Definitely the table. And yeah, you have some options there for how to do things. So yeah, we were going to do the pit, but then I realized, no, this drops down into the level below, so it's not really a good demonstration of how GridForge works. Because what we'd really like to push this time around is GridForge itself. You like a good boardroom table. Yeah. I think it's a cool design. I think it's even cooler than the CEO desk, to be honest, but hey, it looks like we're missing some chairs here. But yeah, this is how it was meant to look like, just this rough office shape. The plants are not quite finished with either. Probably just going to put it in as a sort of stretch goal type thing. And then I was thinking too, to help with promotion, rendering out these scenes and putting it up like on Reddit. I might try some ads on Reddit, as well as like a bunch of 3D printing communities that are grown there. If I can target them specifically, maybe that will help. I really don't know. I'm, as usual, behind on everything. I honestly would need another month to get ready, and to be perfectly honest, I'd probably procrastinate building that sort of operations center rather than doing the marketing and advertising. So I don't know. It's a part to do with my illness, that it's hard to be motivated at the moment on certain things, but hopefully it'll pick up. So this lighting thing, I'm thinking a very simple solution. So let's just grab... Actually, we can probably just use this thing. And since I wanted to change it anyway. So one thing I wanted to do is, this is a side-mounted version and this is a top-mounted version. I've got conditions where I want lights on both sides of a wall. So I want to do a double version of this, which should not be an issue. It should all work out quite well, I think. But I'll spare you that, and we'll work on how to cable manage. So I'm just thinking we take the same design. I kind of feel like the clips sticking up is not necessarily a bad thing. They're so small it almost looks like a feature. So let's just move this over. I should probably read the chat one last time. So which GridForge creator will make the light up Saturday Night Fever disco floor first? Have at it. More Commodores. Yeah. They actually get the computers printed. They print separately, so you can put them wherever you like. But yeah, it has that sort of retro futuristic look, which I'm so fond of. Whoops. So I only need one part of this, and we need to think a little bit about print orientation as well. So let's kill that, and I think if we move this back to here, we get a very basic, very quick printable piece. Whoops. And I'm kind of thinking, since this also can print flat technically, that we just need something that's like a claw that you can put the cable in. So ideally, I was thinking, let me just duplicate this, that we would have something, I'm just going to wing this, and we'll worry about heights and sizes later. So I was just kind of thinking that we would extrude this by, oh my gooey's gone. Let's put that back on, the HUD. So let's make this 0.8. Well, actually 0.1's fine. No, what am I saying? 0.4 is fine. Because we've got a very thin cable we want to get in there. And then we'll go to 0.8. And that is mostly just so we can have something like this. Now, this is not going to be perfect. Let's, again, just go up. Actually, we'll go up 1. Then we'll go up 0.4. And then we'll go up 0.4 again. And then we'll just drag this over. So I'm kind of thinking that if we do something like this, but then alternate it so that you end up with a strip that's like this, if this is starting to make sense. You'll just be able to sort of like feed that cable through. Obviously, like, we'd need this a bit further away from that clip hole there. But it would give like the ability to sort of thread through and sort of keep that, the cable tied down. We could even do it like on both sides, so you could potentially have like several cables running at once. And then maybe do some where it's like got corners and can come down. I kind of feel like with a bit more time, I would really have liked to have used, you know, some of these back plates. Mind you, I've combined them here, but this section here slides on. Like if I grab this and slide it up, or I guess down in this case for some reason, up is down. We could do variants of the backplate which have, you know, some cable management built in as well. But it's kind of like ideal stretch goal territory. And speaking of stretch goals, I was kind of thinking like the social goals are great, but it's kind of hard sometimes to know what is actually working with those. So that maybe rather than having goals based on monetary amounts, it could be like, you know, oh, these stretch goals can help unlock things as well, or push down a stretch goal. So say that you've got this stretch goal unlocks at 10,000 euro. You do a bunch of things for social goals, and that gets bumped down to 5,000. So like, or, you know, takes off the cost of that thing, so that essentially more stretch goals can get unlocked without having to get additional funding necessarily. I don't know. It's just a vague idea at the moment. Maybe it's not the time for new ideas. But yeah, this is extremely basic cable management. And I could probably go a little bit further with this just to get a little bit more of a hook in there. So actually, if I... let's just see where the grid will put this. And then we'll... So for some reason, I'm having trouble with Maya today. I think it's just my brain, but let's get that to snap to there. Sorry if this is a little hard to see. And I think if we just make this go a bit further over, we can just increase the size of that hook a little bit more, right? And we probably do want it to taper off a little bit. So what happens if I just put a loop in there? Whoops. I wanted it to be the same size, and then we'd do like this. Yeah, I don't know what the hell was going on there, but looks like I've managed to move some parts out of alignment. What's new? It looks a little bit better. And yeah, it just sort of could maybe fancy it up a little bit. Just bring this in a little bit more. And then we would sort of repeat the pattern and you would be able to get the cable in between those. So it would just, I feel like that's going to be a quick and easy way, and it should print stupidly fast, which, you know, is also one of our selling points for GridForge. So going back to it, gonna lean in heavily to the color printing because, look, let's be honest. The biggest problem with the market today for STL files is that there are so many new people doing it that the market is just flooded with a ton of talent. Makes it hard to get out, but it's harder for people to, you know, back projects. And then in the back of my mind, like, I know I'd slowed down on backing STL projects partially because, you know, a lot of it is collector-based thinking. Oh, I might need this for my game in the future, that sort of thing. But honestly, the biggest turn-off to printing terrain for my games has been, oh, I'm never going to have the time to paint it. And, you know, in the past, some of the reasons for not doing it has been, oh, it's going to take too long to print, or it's going to waste too much filament. And here we've got the combination of optimizing things so you use less filament, use color switching that takes advantage of existing AMS technologies so that you're reducing waste, creating modularity, and doing different colors through doing multiple prints and then combining them together, like the corridor tiles and whatnot. So, and then of course, I don't think it hurts having, you know, oh, I've used this lighting. You can customize it all, and I think too GridForge works a little bit better for that, you know, Lego idea of just having a bunch of parts and creating what you want. I know I've started making up other rooms using the executive suite, like for actual apartments and that sort of thing. So yeah, I think it's the future of FDM, right? Because like, let me see. I'm just gonna leave you guys. I'll replay that video one more time that I played before, and I'll just go grab something to show you the difference. So let me play that. This is getting huge.
Is that working?
Alright, guys, I just wanted to show off the state of things. I still got a lot of work to do.
So let's turn off my camera.
But you can see the lighting is all fixed for these sections. Just want to add a little bit more base lighting to the labs.
Bugger it.
And you can kind of see that I've got my vaporizers going there. There are going to be some fans sticking in front of those. Built into cliffs. There's going to be a corridor connecting that. And the new section is installed. You can see maybe there needs to be some reorganizing of furniture. But otherwise, we've got a boardroom. We've got a... don't know if the text is coming out there, but... Cocytus is right there. And then you've got the executive suite and the talking room, which came out very well, I thought. And then I actually did the doors in this wood PLA texture. So I just need to get the cliffs finished. And a part of that is these raising stands. I'll explain that more, I'm sure. But yeah, gonna be a long weekend, but worth it. Okay, sorry about that. Let's put my camera back on and we'll go to the movable camera. Okay, so this is the Electo done just with a base grey color, right? It looks cool because it's a cool design, even if I say so myself. But the difference between that and printing in color is night and day. Look at that thing, and just like the effects you can get by combining silks, metals, mattes. You know, I've used a maximum of 4 colors at the same time. You can put writing on it, and then Got Shergall's light in here as well. I've got to put that on because it looks so cool. Wow, that is so washed out. But still, you know, that is much, much better, if you ask me. It's cool, I've got an electro torch now. So let me just land that. Oh, looks like we lost a wheel on the oldie APC. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense, right? Anyway, it is 4 o'clock, which means we should wrap things up. That is some bling. Yes, it is. Klaatu Barada Electro. I wonder what that does. It splits the regular version STLs into the 3MF color version. John says our multicolor can be done without an AMS for many parts, as walls are only 2. You can use a G-code, pause, and wait to manually be an AMS. Agreed. The Starship interior is so bright, minis need to have shades. You're so right. Anyway, guys, sorry that there was no stream last week. I've just been beavering away. It's going to be a long weekend. There's a fair bit of printing that still needs doing. I'm going to have a late night tonight trying to get the dropship done in time. If you have some suggestions for GridForge tiles for this month, let me know. Maybe we actually have something on the back burner. I'm not sure. I'll have to talk to John about that. But in any case, I plan to be back on Monday. I should be at work. I think we'll do a live stream for the launch. So hopefully I'll see you guys then. We're launching at 5 p.m. on Monday, Central European time. That is +1 UTC, I believe, at this point in time. And yeah, have a wonderful weekend, everyone. Bye for now. Bye.